My name is Genevieve Mina. I'm Program Director of Build Back Better Alaska, talking about Build Alaska's Future. We're here with a steering committee member and a board member of Build Back Better Alaska, as currently Assembly Member David Guttenberg. David, if you could introduce yourself and your role with Build Back Better Alaska.
Thank you. Well, my name is David Guttenberg. I've lived in Fairbanks for 52 years. I retired out of the laborers union. I built pipelines and roads and schools and industrial buildings and warehouses and all kinds of things. And I retired. Then I spent 16 years in the Alaska legislature. And after that, I thought I was retired and done with it. And I got convinced to run for the borough assembly. And I sit on the borough assembly, the Fairbanks North Star Borough Assembly right now. I am on the board of Build Back Better Alaska and delighted to be here helping to get the message out.
Wonderful, great. Well, our next question for you is asking, why do you care about building Alaska's future?
Well, Alaska is my home by choice. And from being a construction worker and being in the legislature and the borough assembly and all the things I've done, recognizing that Alaska is still the last frontier. And in order to do the things that we need to do, that we want to have in Alaska and move into the 21st century, we need to have an infrastructure in place to do that. And the opportunities that come with the Build Back Better funds are considerable, and we need to take advantage of that.
Great. Well, with the incoming funds that are heading our way in our state, what is your top investing priority?
Well, I think the number one investment that I'm concerned about and have been a long advocate for it is the single most important infrastructure that we can do, and that is connect Alaska to the internet. And I've been advocating that for a long time. And part of the problem is there hasn't been enough money or public purpose built into the monies that are been going into it. You can't educate children in anywhere in the state if they don't have access at home. You can't do business if you don't have internet broadband access that's reliable and fast and affordable. And when I started advocating for this, the industry pushing back said, well, it's going to take $1 billion to do what you want. Well, Build Back Better and the Biden administration on their infrastructure bill has given Alaska $1 billion to build out the broadband infrastructure. And the problem in the past, as far as I'm concerned, Alaska gets hundreds of millions of dollars a year in subsidies, and there needs to be more public purpose built into it, not profit, more public purpose built into it. If you're getting government money, it has to have a strong government purpose. We don't want people to do things for free, but we need to have the services that Alaskans need. And looking at what's going on, these infrastructure dollars across the board are going to bring significant job opportunities and training opportunities to people working in the crafts and construction crafts and skills. And I think about that being, I worked from day one, I worked on the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System, for originally clearing the right of way to, shutting the connexes and saying, we're done, oil is flowing, recognizing the value of a good paying job with benefits for your family and a retirement system. And the money that's coming in now is going to give kids an opportunity to just have a stable economy and provide for their families for an entire generation. I think it's fabulous opportunity for America and for Alaska.
That's wonderful. And I think that helps answer some of our other questions, but I'll go ahead and ask them again. How will the bipartisan infrastructure law improve broadband access? And you can be a bit more specific about projects, fiber, satellites. What will that money specifically be going to?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's still in transit as far as where it's going to end and how much it is, um, and where it's going to be. But I know a lot of it is directed towards rural Alaska, towards connecting villages who uh, who usually are on the end of the train to get the benefits of modern America. And I think that is one of the significant parts of um, the infrastructure bill that's coming down. The tribal and village entities are right up front going after the infrastructure projects that'll connect them to the 21st century. I live a half hour out of town. Some people might think I'm rural, um, but there are issues out here, right? There are a lot of issues. I'm an advocate for fiber to the home, and slowly it's making its way around, but it's too slow, right? I expect by the time fiber gets to my house, there probably would have been one or two step ups in technology in the fixed microwave that we have now, but that's too slow, right? Fiber to the home, which might be available through this all the broadband infrastructure money, will speed that up and make those things available, hopefully at a faster pace, because every day you need faster speeds, you need wider broadband. Um, if you live at home, and we had a significant issues here last year when we had what we call the crazy storm in December. You two kids can't do, and certainly under the COVID crisis, two kids couldn't do homework at home at the same time. Parents couldn't be reading the news or doing working from home at the same time. You had to weigh what time you're doing what and who can do what, download what you could. Those are all things that are inconveniences that are available to a lot of people in the states. Not everybody, but most people in the states in urban areas. We need to bring that to Alaska, to even downtown communities, and even rural communities like mine, and even bush communities across the state.
And you talked a little bit about the harms when we don't have adequate high quality broadband access for households. Once different communities, especially in rural Alaska, have improved broadband access, how will that improve the folks in those communities, their economies? What are the benefits that we can see from better broadband?
Well, some people think better broadband, oh, my kid will be able to play more games, or two kids will be able to play more games at the same time. But it's a lot more basic than that. I mean, imagine you live in a rural community, and I just had this conversation with somebody today, and your wife goes into premature labor. You can get on the phone and talk to a doctor, right? Or somebody breaks a bone or has a heart attack. You can get on broadband and talk to a doctor and talk to a nurse in the hospital, no matter where they are. Um, if you work, I mean, that's a huge benefit for broadband for basic health conditions. You can be a gig worker working on programming from rural Alaska, from a remote location, right? You can be sitting out someplace in the middle of nowhere with solar and battery backup, without connecting to the grid, being a programmer on the internet. Those things are huge benefits to people all across Alaska, no matter what they do. You can't do business in this world today if you don't have internet connection. And that just doesn't mean when it's available. That means all the time. And I think building out this infrastructure will increase the economic opportunities for all Alaskans.
That's wonderful. Well, besides broadband, is there anything else in the bipartisan infrastructure law that you're excited about for Alaskans?
Well, I think about my career, 25 years I spent as a laborer building all kinds of things, and having a decent job with benefits and retirement. As a kid I didn't think about retirement, but now I look back and it's like, man, I did a couple of things right purely by accident. Health and welfare, and being able to take care of your family. The money coming in to build out this infrastructure from those funds, um, is a generational thing. It is giving kids an opportunity to do the right by their family, to stay out of trouble, to have rewarding careers and rewarding jobs, and taking care of their families. And then when they turn gray, like I am starting to, that they can look back and say, I did pretty good for myself. And I think those are the opportunities that are available through the infrastructure bill.
Awesome. Well, one last question for you. We have passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, and that was an incredible feat from the work of our congressional delegation, working with the Biden Harris administration. What other opportunities do you see on a national level that can bring big benefits to Alaskans?
Well, um, certainly have to thank the delegation for stepping out of the box, and I'm not going to say former Representative Don Young, but representative because he will always be Representative Don Young. Um, and it's in some circles it's a hard term, but Ted Stevens did it, Don Young. It's bringing home the bacon. It's building out America all across this nation and in Alaska also. We have failing bridges and highways and infrastructure that is 50 years old and is antiquated. All across America, we have needs, and this will fill a lot of needs. In a lot of cases, failing infrastructure affects the entire economy. When a bridge is under construction, or falls down, or roads need to be repaired, um, not because major maintenance has been done, but because major maintenance hasn't been done. These funds will keep America in the 21st century. I mean, nations across the world have been doing it; others haven't been. We don't need to look at our infrastructure and look like a third world country. And you might look at one section of highway, but you need to look at the other one that's falling apart. Bridges are falling apart. They're falling down. They're behind. Ports and docks and all kinds of dams. Just these. Nenana, the little town of Nenana, just got infrastructure funds to build a new fire station. Um, those guys couldn't do that by themselves, but fire protection is something that's needed, not just for the town of Nenana, but that whole section of highway that's 50 miles from here, that is involved right now, major forest fires, you know, all of the maintenance and all the emergency service for 100 miles of highway. That's what that stuff does. And if you extrapolate that all across America, that's what we're doing. We're fortifying the infrastructure that built America. That's 50 years old, and I think it's very, very important and crucial that we do it because it's late. We should have been doing it years ago.
Totally. Great. Well, this was fantastic. I think you answered all of our questions.